All right, hey guys, welcome back for day 2 of measuring time. I hope y'all had a really good Monday. So for today, you're actually going to need your Go Math book, and you need to turn to page 566. 566. I'll give you a couple minutes to go get that. All right, so you should be on page 566, and you'll see that there's a picture of a clock, right? And it already has the time filled in. It says our start time is at 4:10. And our end time is at 4:53 p.m. I'm going to add p.m. to that over there. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead on my clock and I'm going to fill that in, 4:10. So my short hand goes here, my long hand goes here. So I know that's my start time. Now my end time is at 4:53. So we need to figure out where our long hand is going to be. So if you were doing the practice sheets last week, you know that whenever we count time, we count by 5. So it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. There's 50. But if I go up again, it's 55. So I need to come back down to 50 and start counting by ones. So 50, 51, 52, 53. Now in a perfect world, I would have a clock to show you all that. Okay, but it's going to be somewhere in between there. So now we need to figure out how long is in between our start time being at 4:10 and our end time being at 4:53. So we're going to start counting by 5s. So here we go. And it's going to be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. But then remember, if we keep going, I'm going to write a little note right here, 40. If we keep going, it'll be 45. But we know that these tick mark stands for ones when you start counting by ones. 40, 41, 42, 43. So we can say from our start time, from 4:10 to 4:53, it was 43 minutes in between. Now that's using a clock. Another way we could have solved this is just by subtraction. So with time, you always want to start with your end time first minus your start time, because it's going to usually be your biggest number. So we're going to say 4:53 minus 4:10, and you want to make sure, even Mrs. Adams kind of wrote it, your ones place is lined up with your tens. Okay, so 3 minus 0 is 3, 5 minus 1 is 4, and there is no hour, so we leave that blank, and so we know since there's no hour, it's 43 minutes. And that actually matches up with our answer, so we're good to go. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to fill that in. All right, so we're still on page 566, and if you drop down, you're going to see the number 1, share and show. And it says use the number line to find the elapsed time. So I went ahead and wrote our problem here with the number line and with the clock, and we're going to show how to use it to subtract. Because after I show you this way, you're going to go and do problems 2 and 3 on your own. Okay? So we know our start time is 1:15 and we know our end time is 1:40. Based off what we did on Monday, how would we go ahead and solve on a number line? Well, we need to fill it in. So we can go ahead and start counting by 5s, which would take us to 120. And to get to 120 to 140, do you think it'd be easier to count by 5s or should we count by 10s? Probably by 10s. So let's go ahead and do that. 120, 130, big gap. In a perfect world, it'd be more condensed, 140. So we know that between 1:15 and 1:20 is 5 minutes. 1:20 to 1:30 is 10. And 1:30 to 1:40 is 10. And if we just add those up, 10, 20, it's 25 minutes. So let's go ahead and show that on the analog clock. 1:15. So our small hand's going to be pointing at the 1. Our long hand here. And it's going to end at 1:40. We know we need to count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. So then our long hand will move here. So then we just need to count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And so far everything's matching. So then let's just try subtraction. So again, we need to start with our end time because it is our larger number. So we say 140 minus 115. Okay, we know we can't take 0 from 5. 3, 10, 5. 3 minus 1 is 2. There's nothing in the hour, so it is 25 minutes. So I've shown you 3 different ways to solve. I want you to work through problems 2 and 3 using a number line, the clock, or basic subtraction. Go ahead and try that.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
All right, so now we're on the next page, 567. Question 4. Let's go ahead and read that together. Connor started reading his book about outer space at 9:15 in the morning. He read until 9:45 in the morning. How long did Connor read his book? I know what you're already saying, Mrs. Adams. We got to start underlining stuff. Well, what do we need to underline? You should already know we need to underline the question, right? How long did Connor read his book? But I know exactly what you're thinking. There's no numbers. But actually, there is. We've got this over here, 9:15. And 9:45. Huh. 9:15 and 9:45. You know, I'm getting kind of confused. What does that mean? Let's take a step back from this problem and let's talk about what a quarter is. So, ignore the problem. And let's just look at this clock. How many minutes are in an hour? 60. So what I want you to do is help me fill out the clock right here. Let's just fill out that hour, okay? So like right here we know would be 12 o'clock. Right here we know would be 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Now, let's fill in the minute on the outside part. What does that 3 stand for if my minute hand was on the 3? 15. What would it stand for the 6? 30. The 9? 45. And then what would it mean if both hands were facing, or just even our minute hand was facing at the 12? We would say o'clock, right? Because it's to the hour. Like if our minute hand was here, we would say it's 3 o'clock. And to the minute, it would be 0. So I'm just going to write a 0 up here. Even a double 0 if that helps. So, can you tell me, what is this going up in increments of? If we were in class, I would have you probably subtract some numbers. So go ahead and subtract 45 to 30, and what do you get? From 30 to 15? And what an easier way would have been is just from 0 to 15. 0 to 15, there's 15 spaces. So there's actually 4 quarters, and instead of them equaling 25, they actually only equal 15. So there's 4 quarters in the hour, but they equal 15 minutes each. Go back to my problem. We have 9:15. So again, let's draw my clock. 12, 3, 6, 9. if it was a quarter after, remember I told you 1/4 equals how many minutes? 15. We're going to move it up to a 15. Well, if we take our minute hand and move it up to a 15, what time would it be? 9:15. So actually our start time is 9:15. And let's look at that end time. He said 9:45. Well, a 9:45. Well, we know it's not going to be 10 o'clock. Otherwise, he would have said 10 o'clock. So 9:45. So that means there's a quarter left, 15 minutes left before 10 o'clock. Well, if we know he started at 9:15, we know it's still 9 o'clock. It's still in the 9th hour. So if we go back to our quarters, there's 4 of them, right? We had 0, 0, 15, 30, 45. So it's not 10 o'clock yet, it's a 1/4 till. Our minute hand would be at the 45, and our clock would not look like that realistically. But for right now, we're only worried about the minute. It would be 9:45. So his end time is 9:45. So now that we have our start and our end time, we can either subtract, do a number line, or do it on our clock. And just for time, let's just go ahead and subtract. We have 9:45 minus 9:15. Okay, 0, 3. So how long did he spend reading? For 30 minutes. Alright guys, so we're still on page 567, and now we're actually on the first red hot chili pepper problem. Okay, so it's number 5. And I'm just going to read it to y'all. Aiden arrived at the rocket display at 3:35 p.m. and left at 3:49 p.m. I know you should already be circling it. Just for fun, I'm going to draw Aiden. And we know he got there at 3:35. And he left at 3:49. Okay, and then we have Ava, who arrived at the rocket display at 3:30. So let's draw Ava. She got there at 3:30 and left at 3:56. Now underline. Ava spent how many more minutes at the rocket display than Aiden? Well, first we need to figure out how long they spent each. So, we can either do it on a number line, we can subtract, or we can do it on the clock. Let's just go ahead and do subtraction. So we have 3:49 minus 3:35. Okay, so 9 minus 5, 4. 4 minus 3 is 1, and 3 minus 3 is 0, so there's no hour. So we know that Aiden spent 14 minutes. Now how long did Ava spend? So we have 3:56 minus 3:30, 6. 5 minus 3, 2. No hour, so she spent 26 minutes. Now, are we done? No, because we need to know how much more time did she spend than him. So how much more? What operation are we going to use? Are we going to combine their time? No, we're going to need to subtract. So let's see, we have 26 minus 14. Okay, what's 6 minus 4? 2. And 2 minus 1? 12. So we have 12 minutes. So Ava spent 12 more minutes than Aiden. Okay, if you want, you can try and challenge yourself and do problem 6 and 7 and just send it to me. But then go ahead and look on Google Classroom for your assignment.